Moin. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. My name is Mace. I'm coming to you from Canada. How is everybody doing? Hope everyone's doing fine on a beautiful morning or afternoon or evening. Yeah, world's a changing. We're all getting older, so be kind to each other. German Minister Robert Habeck. EU must unite against Trump's tariffs. So there's been so much up and down, back and forth, and I think we've discussed, and we all know the unpredictability of Mr. Trump. Like, he's just an unpredictable person at the very best of times, and that's why I say, like, his brand of conservatism, it's not really conservatism, it's a different thing, and yeah, I don't know. Markets are fluctuating, they're going up and they're going down, they're going crazy. Going up and down like a friggin' lie detector test. Let's see what the German minister has to say about the tariffs. It's just a short clip. Make sure to leave a comment down below. Get engaged in conversation with me. I always try to look at the comments as best as I can. And I see everything. I'm an omnipresent force on the channel. So I will most likely see your comment. You can also send me videos, clips, and anything you like. There's a link in the description for that as well. And I'm also a rapper and producer. You can find my music on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, YouTube, anywhere. Just search up M-A-C-E-Y. Well, M-A-C-3-Y. M-A-C-3-Y. Gonna drop a diss track on Donald Trump soon. No, I'm just... Maybe I should. All right.
First, the calculations from my point of view are nonsense. Even the basis of the calculation is nonsense. Yes, the assumption that a trade budget surplus or deficit is a problem in itself is a wrong estimate.
So I've been thinking, like the trade surplus or trade deficit, you've seen Trump use this rhetoric often, like, well, we're in a huge trade deficit. We're subsidizing there. Well, no. It just happens to be that you're importing more from this country than you're exporting. That's just how it is. It's never going to be 100% even. And you'll often see Trump saying, you know, U.S. has been getting ripped off and things like this. And then American people still, I don't think, quite understand how tariffs work when he's putting massive tariffs on certain countries. The American importers often are the ones taking the brunt of that, and then it's passed down to the consumers. And then it's even worse when you have components and parts that have to get imported and then they get exported. They got to get imported again. You know, they got to get imported, something done with them. They got to get exported and they got to come back. You know, sometimes that's going to happen multiple times. So things are getting taxed innumerably. I don't know. It's crazy.
Estimation, because in the end globalization serves all economies.
Ooh, keyword. Globalization serves all economies. Trumpers would be going crazy at that statement.
And especially the American economy has huge growth figures in GDP, better than a lot of European countries. So you see, if we, the rest of the world, are selling cheaper goods to the American economy, it's of use of the American economy. So even the basis of the calculation, the, how shall I put it, economical, philosophical basis is nonsense. And then we have seen that the countries who try to ease the conflicts beforehand with the US and hoped for reduction of tariffs or being excluded from tariffs are wrong. This has not happened. So I can only say to the European partners, we have to stay united. If you try to solve the problem on your own, this will not be successful.
So he's essentially saying, like, hey, if you try to cozy up and kowtow and bow down to Trump, it's not necessarily going to work in your favor, right? He's saying if we stand united together about this, it could be beneficial for everybody in the end, for the people in the EU, as well as just around the world, countries that deal with the US in trade. There's no doubt that Trump has alienated even more people than he had before. I think a lot of people around the world are even more aware of just how destructive and how Trump uses his kind of bully tactics to try to get his way for his American exceptionalism.
Successful.
Okay. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. What is the latest anyways? Let me check out Reddit. Germany. What's going on in Germany, you guys? I lost my wallet and 1,400 euros were taken. That's unfortunate. That's going to happen though. What about Trump? What are people saying about Trump? What do real Germans think of Donald Trump? That's from 8 years ago. I'm curious. Should we take a look at this thread? It might be scary though. 8 years ago. All of these threads are quite old. Trump makes people in the States feel one of three things. They either feel embarrassed, or they think he is the laughingstock of the world, or they think he's the savior of our country and more countries need leaders like him. Or there are people that are completely apathetic and are just business as usual. I'm curious as to how Germans feel. What do the real Germans of Reddit think of Donald J. Trump? For me and quite a few others, Donald Trump is everything a politician, especially a Democratic head of state, shouldn't be. Dishonest, highly impulsive, can't handle to be criticized, not interested in foreign politics, and more. Wow, that summed it up pretty concisely, didn't it? My personal view is he is really stupid and has evil character traits. He lies, he cheats, he insults, he is not consistent. He really impersonates everything which I don't like in human beings, and especially in politicians. And that's the thing, like politics is a dirty game at the best of times. So when you put a individual like Trump into politics, it's like a bull in a china shop. Now as a German, I'm fully aware that my people made a gross mistake to listen to our dark instincts some 80 years ago, following an evil person into catastrophe. I always imagined the US were better than us in that regard, and at least the whole world should have learned that decency does matter. I'm not so sure anymore. He sure is a lot of fun. Then you realize he's the commander-in-chief of the largest military in the world, and it becomes a bit scary. The whole situation is surreal. It is. It really is surreal because you have a reality TV star becoming a populist and becoming the president of the United States. You know, it really is insanity. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the film Idiocracy. I think in that movie, it's like an NFL player or something becomes the president. So there's certainly some similarities, and people are just kind of very distracted all the time. There's also a good novel, I don't know if any of you guys have read it, by Aldous Huxley, called Brave New World. And he had a bit of a different thesis or hypothesis on how a totalitarian or authoritarian government might operate to the best of its ability. So Orwell, of course, had like the image of the black leather boot kind of on the citizenry or proletariat or the people's throats. Very, very hard-handed and heavy totalitarianism. Whereas Huxley believed it would be a little bit different. He believed it wouldn't be so difficult, and that the authoritarians or the powers that be would use different tactics such as distractions. So people watch these very sensory heightened movies, and they just have all of these distractions, and they take drugs, and it's not so hard to control them with propaganda. So it's more of a propaganda type of theory. Speaking of propaganda, like that was the original theory of propaganda, was that Goebbels? Was he like the actual propagator of propaganda? Propaganda. Let's look at the actual history of it. I just want to know, like, what's the origin of the term? Propaganda is communication that is primarily used to influence or persuade an audience. Yes, we know this. Etymology, it's a modern Latin word, the neuter plural gerundav form of propagare, meaning to spread, to propagate. History. Okay, so yeah, obviously propaganda has been around forever. Let me get into Hitler, Goebbels. Most propaganda in Nazi Germany was produced by the Ministry of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda. Wow, that's what it was called? Talk about Orwellian. I didn't know it was that on the money. Goebbels mentioned propaganda as a way to see through the masses. Symbols are used towards propaganda such as justice, liberty, and one's devotion to one's country. World War II saw continued use of propaganda as a weapon of war, building on the experience of World War I. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Good stuff. We'll see you all soon. Make sure to leave a comment down below, and appreciate you, as always. Tschüss, auf Wiedersehen.